Hey everyone, Michael here, Pokey-Oz. Welcome back to the channel. Something very left field today. As the thumbnail says, Goku versus Charizard. And it certainly wasn't clickbait, but I want to talk to you about Dragon Ball Z today, not Pokemon. Now, obviously, Pokemon is the biggest TCG that the world has ever seen and is the most popular, but there's nothing wrong in getting in, or nothing wrong with getting into something else. Now, for years and years and years, the Pokemon has always been a collectible for me, but the Dragon Ball Z Score CCG was top of the list for me for a long, long time. I had a massive collection, also a massive sealed collection, so today I want to talk to you about that. So if you can hang around, if you haven't got into the CCG of Dragon Ball Z Score, you might learn something, which is good. If you have been into it, you also might learn something. If you are super into it, you might also teach me something down in the comments. So I suppose for me, Pokemon's always been up there. The game that I've played the most is Magic the Gathering, and Dragon Ball Z has also been up there in terms of the Score collectible card game. Just recently, I opened my first box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and it was actually quite interesting, even being a predominantly Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Dragon Ball Z Score collector, to really delve in and look at another collectible card game. So if you can bear with me for 10 to 15 minutes, I want to teach you something about a different collectible card game. Might be of interest to you and you might learn something. Now, this isn't all about the mechanics of how the game works. It's more a collecting point of view, but I'm also going to touch on some investing and pricing information towards the end. Now, where to start? That's the big question. A tiny little background behind the game. It was produced by Score. It was first released in the year 2000. The DBZ CCG, I guess, is the acronym, colloquial term, so Dragon Ball Z collectible card game. You could play the game just like you could Pokemon. Two players could verse each other and there was winners. There was world championships, but I'll get into some of the prize cards in this episode. Basically what I want to do is I want to give you a brief rundown of what the cards' rarities are. Then I want to talk to you about the sets, some of the hits from the sets. Then I want to go through some of my favorites, and then, what cards are worth the most money and maybe what's worth investing in or should have invested in several years ago. Now, I pretty much sold up my whole collection. So let's start with how you got them. Now, just like Pokemon, you could buy yourself some booster boxes. Now, a booster box, just like Pokemon, had 36 packs sitting inside it. You had two print runs, just like the start of Wizards of the Coast era. You had, and this one, as you can see, probably a little bit hard to see because it's a bit torn, limited edition printing. So similar to first edition printing with, say, base set Pokemon cards or Jungle or Fossil or Neo era or Gym Heroes era, you had limited edition printing across every set, and then you had what's called unlimited edition. So limited edition, of course, had this silver sticker on the front of the box, and the back of the packs also had limited edition. And every card, and I'll get to this in a second, every card, very hard to see there, had this little Japanese symbol saying limited edition. So you get booster packs. Obviously, these would pop open like the Pokemon ones do, and you could buy them individually at a card shop or a newsagent or Kmart or Target or Walmart in the US, whatever it might be. You could also buy pre-constructed theme decks. There was hero decks and villain decks. This is from the Trunks saga, which I'll get into shortly. It shows you on the back the different characters you could get as heroes. Of course, there was Trunks or Gohan or Goku or Vegeta. And there was villain decks, which might have King Cold or Frieza or Captain Ginyu or whatever it might be. So theme decks, booster packs / booster boxes. And there was little, just like in the Pokemon, how you get those little 3-pack samples, you could also get those in the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game. Now, let's talk through rarities in a second. Before we do, I just wanted to show you what I've got left over. So I pretty much sold everything. And actually, no, I'm going to save it to the end. So hopefully it means I'm going to show you the 3 favorite cards that I kept at the end, actually, at the end. So rarities. First of all, there's common. Now, what a common card had, or how to tell a common card, is it had 1 star in the Dragon Ball in the top right-hand corner, just like this one I'm bringing up on the screen. Now, After commons, so these come in a main set, of course, you had promo cards. Now, promo cards didn't come in a main set. They were generally released in some sort of promotional run. There was like Burger King promos, Tough Enough promos. There was league season promos. I won't go into this. Probably 20 to 25 odd promo sets. And these have 2 stars in the Dragon Ball. Now, you would think a promo is rarer than a common, which is true. And there's also some super rare promos. There's promos that go for huge amounts of dollars. Now, obviously, after a promo, you get an uncommon, which has a 3-star Dragon Ball in the top right-hand corner. So this is just like a circle and a diamond in Pokemon. Think of it that way. Now, your starter personalities, which is what you battled in when you actually played against someone else, like if you were playing as Goku or you were playing as Gohan and you were versing someone with a villain deck like Frieza, these had 4 stars in the Dragon Balls, just like this one in the top right-hand corner. Now, after that, you move on to rares. These had 5 stars in the Dragon Ball in the top right-hand corner. The other thing that differentiates these from a common or an uncommon is that they had a little foil score symbol in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, if you look at this box, you get a foil card in this box in every second pack. In some booster packs or booster boxes, it's a foil card in every third pack. But you get 1 rare per pack. And of course, the chase was just like Pokemon. Of course, you get a rare, but getting a non-holo rare is pretty boring. Sometimes you could get a common foil or an uncommon foil, or obviously the chase was to get a rare foil. And we'll get to the foil patterns because each set had different foil patterns. We'll get to them when we talk about the sets. Now, after a 5-star, we move into the big one, the 6-star Dragon Ball. These were called the Ultra Rares. I'll bring one up on the screen here now. There was no non-foil option. This was the Ultra Rares is the chase. It is the Gold Star. It is the alternate art from Sword and Shield. And the odds of getting one of these was so hard. You think opening Chilling Pain or Evolving Cries is painful? Go buy yourself 3 booster boxes of Dragon Ball Z CCG and see how painful life can be. Because you can open 6 or 7 of these boxes and not pull anything. The odds of getting an ultra rare was about 1 per case. So you're looking at obviously 6 booster boxes opening to possibly get yourself an ultra rare. So incredibly hard to get, incredibly sought after, and going for big dollars in good condition on the secondary market. Now, after 6-star Dragon Balls, we get to the 7-star Dragon Ball. Now, just like the anime, 7 Dragon Balls is what you need to summon the dragon, Shenron on Earth. For those of you who love a bit of Dragon Ball Z trivia, 7-star is your prize cards. So these were obviously handed out at tournaments. Just like in the Pokemon world, this game had worldwide tournaments where people would go and battle and the winner would get prizes, prize cards, so to speak. So these were your 7-star Dragon Ball. So setting up a set or getting a master set was really hard because if you think about it, right, you've obviously got commons, uncommons, rares, and ultra rares that you can pull from a set. In these, you had limited edition print and non-limited edition print. You also had foil and non-foil versions. So of a common, you could get a non-foil limited edition, a non-foil unlimited edition, a foil limited edition, which is what you want. That's the rare, that is the true master set, full foil limited edition master set, and you could get a foil unlimited edition. So you sort of had 4 possibilities of every card. It goes obviously non-foil unlimited base is your lowest here. Limited edition non-foil, foil unlimited edition, and foil limited edition being what you're really after. Now let's go through the sets. It started off in the year 2000 and the Saiyan Saga, and that's what it does. It follows the TV series and it takes action shots from the TV series to make it feel like you're part of the show or the game, so to speak. Started off with Saiyan series, or Saiyan Saga. I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly, talk about the foil patterns briefly and the ultra rares. So the foil patterns, these were very dull. The Saiyan Saga, the artwork was a bit average. The foil seemed almost to darken out the card. Score didn't do a great job, to be honest, on the Saiyan Saga. I'll bring up the ultra rares here. There were 4 ultra rares from the first set. What is it? Chaozu's Defense is one of them. I can't think of all 4. Medic Kit, I think, with Goku in there was one of them. Nothing super spectacular when it came to the Saiyan Saga. Now, this was a main set, so you could get personalities out of it and starter decks. They sort of went main set, subset, main set, subset. The next set that come out after Saiyan Saga, they started to step up the design and printing and color and foil pattern a little bit. The next set to come out was the Frieza Saga. Now, I'll bring up the ultra rares on the screen. You had 2 massive ultra rares here. You had the Frieza level 5. Or was it a level 1? Anyway, you had a Frieza ultra rare, and then you had the Super Saiyan Goku ultra rare. Now, this was the chase card at the time. And look at the foil pattern on these. It had a bit of a dotted foil pattern, so it wasn't a flat foil anymore. It went to something special now. It was still flat foil for the whole of Dragon Ball Z across commons and uncommons, but rares and ultra rares picked up the special foil pattern. Now, this Super Saiyan Goku goes for big dollars now. Like, it's still probably, I'll talk about top tier chase cards from the Score DBZ CCG, but this is one of them. This is up there. And at the time, it was Hollywood. If you could pull one of these, it was awesome. The only thing I wish they would have done with these ultra rares, why didn't they have a level 4 or 5 Frieza? Like, why have him in his base silly looking form? Like, get him up there in his strongest form. So it's like Super Saiyan Goku versus top of the range Frieza, but just didn't do it. So a bit of a disappointment there. But next up, we had the Trunks Saga. Now, this is where, for me, the artists and the foil pattern and the printing ability really started to step up. This has some amazing foil pattern. I guess we'd call it the rain foil pattern. I'll bring up the ultra rares here. Again, we're back to a main set, so you had decks and starter personalities to add that you could fight with. 4 awesome ultra rares and another beautiful Goku ultra rare. The Goku in limited edition, as well as the King Cold in limited edition, go for big dollars, especially if they're in nice condition, because it is very hard to get scorecards in nice condition, and it's even harder to grade them. I don't think there are any. If someone knows of one, a PSA 10 ultra rare DBZ CCG card, let me know. Generally, like, a lot of times they get graded by BGS, not PSA, and a lot of times, high grade would be saying 8.5 with subgrades. But this was a great set, the Trunks Saga. I loved some of my favourite chase cards was they had these mastery cards inside the sets. The foil masteries from Trunks Saga were brilliant. Moving along, Android Saga. Again, artwork and printing stepped up. The rares got a etched or scratched foil pattern, you'd say, a cross-thatch sort of foil pattern, and that was a really nice foil pattern. 2 good ultra rares, not character card ultra rares. And that's the thing, by the way, character cards, the ones with, Goku with power levels or Frieza with power levels, those as ultra rares hold more value than the non-character cards. So in this set, you got the Heroes Down and Trunks Guardian Drill, which were both amazing looking ultra rares. After the Android Saga is arguably my favourite set, Cell Saga, which is what this booster box is, and boy, were there some cool chase cards inside this. 4 amazing looking ultra rares, which I'll bring up on the screen here. It's sort of got a wavy foil pattern. I really liked the foil pattern from this, and my favourite card, which I'll show you, like I said, at the end, which I've kept, because, by the way, I sold everything. I had every ultra rare. Every ultra rare in limited edition, bar one that was in the unlimited edition, which was Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but I sold it all, and I kept 3 cards. I kept my 3 favorites. So everything's gone bar 3, and one of them's from Cell Saga, which I'll show you very, very shortly. So hang on. Again, Cell Saga is a main set. You could get personalities and decks and battle each other. After Cell Saga was Cell Game Saga. It had 2 ultra rares in this, and the foil pattern was like, what would you call it? It's like a wave again, but like a lightning sort of wave foil pattern. You had Piccolo the Defender and Trunks the Battler as your ultra rares, which were both amazing looking cards. After Cell Game Saga, we went to World Game Saga, and like I said, this just follows the anime. So World Game Saga, again, back to a main set again. You're getting the decks and starter personalities. The foil pattern on this wasn't my favourite. It's really hard to describe, and it's a little bit etched, but it's also a bit blotchy and hard to see. And your ultra rares like the Pycon Prize Fighter, What else we have? Goku Galaxy's Hero can go for big dollars. You notice a trend here. Anything Goku seems to go for big dollars. Hence the thumbnail, Goku versus Charizard. You know, Goku in the Score DBZ CCG was like the Charizard. If you have him as a big chase card, it's likely going to bring big dollars in. Next, after World Game Saga, was Bubbly Saga, and this had two beautiful ultra rares in Margin Vegeta. Sort of a fan favourite moment from the anime, I guess. I'll bring them up on the screen here. After Bubbly Saga, we went to Boo Saga, which is where we meet what we'd say is the first edition Charizard of the DBZ CCG world. We had Super Saiyan 3 Goku as one of the ultra rares. Again, main set, get personalities in this and decks. And this Goku was an amazing looking card. It is, I guess, the grail of a chase card from the main sets. There's promo cards and prize cards which are more grail than this, but this was the grail from the series, so to speak, or main sets. After Boo Saga, we went to the Fusion Saga. Again, hard to explain the foil pattern. It was a bit sort of like a textured foil pattern. I'll bring up the ultra rares on the screen here. I wasn't the biggest fan of the ultra rares from this set. And finally, after the Fusion Saga, the final saga was Kid Boo Saga. Now, this picked up a bit of a zigzag foil pattern, for lack of a better word. The last two sets were a bit lackluster. And after Boo Saga, popularity, it was sort of losing its shine a little bit, the DBZ CCG, coming to a close. I wish they'd gone out with a bit more of a bang, maybe with Margin Boo, or Kid Boo, I should say, and Goku, with two ultra rares to sort of finish off the series, but they didn't. They had a couple of lackluster sort of ultra rares in the final sets. But now, I said if you hang around, I'll show. I kept 3 cards. So I guess these are my 3 favourite. I'll show you up here. On the right, it's probably going to be your left actually. On your left, you've got the Margin Vegeta here from Bubbly Saga in limited edition. There's a level 1 and a level 5. The level 1 is just his face. There was 2 foil options. You get a full face foil or a half face foil. One of my second favourite card is, and this is from Cell Game Saga, Trunks the Battler. You can see that foil pattern that I was talking about. And then my favourite card, and I love this scene from the anime, is Vegeta the Revitalized. That is one hell of a good looking card. It's from Cell Saga. It goes for big dollars now. Arguably maybe the second most expensive behind the Super Saiyan 3 Goku from Boo Saga. So fantastic card there. Now, you also had some reprints, what they call GKI reprints, which had the Frieza Saga foil pattern of all the ultra rares. And when it comes to, I guess, the most expensive card, you're probably talking this. Well, you're definitely talking this. I talked about prize cards. So this was the World Championship 2003 prize card. This is, I guess, the Illustrator Pikachu of the Dragon Ball Z CCG. There was only 4 copies given out. There's a long story, and I remembered it back in the day, but something along the lines of this card got ripped in half or burnt or something along those lines. If you remember the story or you're part of it, let me know in the comments down below. But I remember it back when I was hugely into the community, sort of 10 to 12 years ago, when we were really getting into it. This is the, like I was saying, Pikachu Illustrator. Now, one of these was listed just recently at Heritage Auctions. I'm not signed up to Heritage Auctions, which means I can't see what it sold for, but it did say offers above 27,000 US. Whether it sold for more than 27,000 US, I'm not completely sure. If it sold for 25k or 30k, who knows? It was BGS graded as an 8.5, which is a really strong grade for a score card. Well, there you have it, I guess. That sort of summarises the whole story of the CCG quickly. From an investing standpoint, these cards have gone bonkers through COVID, like a lot of other CCGs. Super Saiyan 3 limited edition Goku in an 8.5. What are they going for now? Probably $3,000 US. Back in the day, you could pick them up for 300 US. Like when I was collecting 10 years ago, Vegeta the Revitalized, which was my favourite card in limited edition, you could pick one up for $250 Australian, which is probably $180 US. Now you'd probably be lucky to get a really, really nice copy for $2,000 Australian, which is probably $1,200, $1,300 US. So from an investing standpoint, like a lot of other CCGs, these saw some massive growth throughout COVID and have sort of held their own and held pretty strong since then. Things have probably dipped a little bit, but still going well. Now, that sort of sums up the video. So if you're into Dragon Ball Z and you're into collectible card games, sometimes it's nice to get a bit of a view on something else rather than Pokemon. So I hope you enjoyed this, episode, and I hope you learned something. If you've got anything for me, please leave it down below. I'd love to hear from everyone and have a chat. Thanks again. Like I said, this is Michael, Poke Oz, and I'll catch you next time.